Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Haven't watched an awful lot this week. This could be a short one, although we have both watched the whole of The Fall of the House of Usher, so that could take a while. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with Old Dads then.
Old Dads. Okay.
So this is it's a Netflix movie. It stars and is directed by Bill Burr. It's got Bobby Cannavale in it and Bokeem Woodbine. So this is basically, I would say this is Bill Burr's sort of stand-up stuff light.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's like, some of the stuff that you've heard him joke about on his stand-ups, that it's kind of, I would say, slightly toned down a little.
Sure.
I mean, in the first sort of half of the movie,
I don't think you can get away with as much. You don't have the same freedom as you do with stand-up when you're making a show. I think when you got stand-up, it's like, it's live, I'm on stage, I've said it now, it's too late. I think anywhere where there's an editing room, you're going to struggle, Yeah.
So basically, you're introduced to his character, who is Jack, and him and Bobby Cannavale and Bokeem Woodbine's characters, Mike and Connor. They all own this. I think it's a t-shirt company that they've had for like 20 years, and it's like classic t-shirts and stuff like that. But Bill Burr's character has now got a kid who's in sort of, he's little but not toddler. They're trying to get him into some school. I don't know what the fucking classification it is, but they're trying to get him into this school, and the school he's in at the moment is really sort of woke and shit, and the woman who runs it, there's like this bit where he turns up late to pick him up his kid, and like it's like, she says, "Oh, you're late," and he's like, "Yeah, I couldn't park the car." I said, "Well, we don't accept excuses." He's like, "It's not an excuse, it's just what happened."
That's not. I mean,
Yeah.
As far as reasons go, that's not unreasonable.
It's like $5 a minute, and it's like, okay, and it's like, oh, but she says, "Oh, have you read the booklet?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've read it." It's like, okay. Well, and then there's all these like mothers and fathers around, and they're all like looking at each other and like, grinning and stuff, and it's like, oh, then you'll know it's like $5 a minute, and he's like, he puts his kid down, gets his wallet out, and it's like, oh no, but the first offence is free, and he's like, well, why did you wait for me to get my wallet out and put my kid down? He's like, well, you would know if you read the book. And it's like, whoa, okay, so this is where we are, that's the sort of, it's that sort of thing. So he's like an old dad. He's had a kid late in his life, and the kid means everything to him. So he's basically sold his company. Him and his mates have sold their company to sort of semi-retire, but they're kept on to run the business.
Right.
But of course, it's this millennial douchebag is in charge.
Okay.
And he sort of immediately turns up and starts changing things, and as they go along, they start, things start in the office start disappearing.
Sure.
And new stuff keeps appearing, and it looks like one of those horrible places that has juice bars and shit like that, And
no, not juice.
Yeah, exactly. Blah. So Bobby Cannavale's character is this sort of like desperate for sort of to be cool, trying to be hit with the kids, and that character who is a little bit much at times. But Bokeem Woodbine is this guy who's he's divorced. He's had his kids. They've left. But now he's got a new girlfriend who gets pregnant, and he's like, oh God, I've already done this. I didn't want to do this again.
Sure.
So that's your sort of your main three characters. And it's just sort of them dealing with modern life, really. It's like it's the stuff that me and you have complained about, like dickheads riding scooters in the middle of the road.
My pet hate in Bristol. Yes. I was really happy the other day because they said they were getting rid of them, but I didn't realize they were getting rid of them to they were just changing companies. I thought they were going, and I was like, yes, finally. It's like, no, they were literally back the next day. So it's like, oh, okay, they're a different color now.
Yeah, so you get this, you get the sort of snarky comments from him, and the utter sort of bafflement of the sort of millennials to sort of not understand things, and they get well, I don't want to spoil too much, but they basically get done for basically saying stuff that they shouldn't be saying, and it's like, hang on a minute, these were like private conversations, and this is one of those things that is seems to be prevalent at the moment. It's like, oh, you've got to watch what you say. You can't say this, can't say this. Like, well, what the fuck happened to private conversations and freedom of fucking speech, for fuck's sake? But yeah, so it's just those sort of things. Obviously, they're going to resonate.
You're right. This is sounding a lot like Bill Burr's stand-up in a show.
Exactly,
yeah,
it's exactly that.
Okay.
The way the second half of the movie sort of, obviously it's that sort of, he falls out with his wife and things have got to change, and it's it's anger, and
it's that midpoint of all of these movies. Yep.
And if you've seen any of his stand-ups and stuff, or that cartoon that I can't remember what they cartoon.
I've seen some of his stand-up.
Family, something like that.
Right.
I really like that cartoon. It's really funny, and it's set in the 70s, and basically he's playing his father in it, basically.
Okay.
But it's that sort of, it's the dark guy who's clearly got fucking anger management issues, and he's always, straight up about how angry he's been all his life, sort of thing, and it's that sort of, he's dealing with that, and it's like getting therapy, and it's but it's clearly, not just him. Yes, sure, he's pulling dick moves, and he's an angry asshole, but there's also real assholes on the other end as well. I actually thought that the way it ended was actually okay. I think it sort of, it feels, I think some people have felt that it's lessened his impact a little, because it's not, I don't know, I think people wanted him to do them over and be like,
sure, but
completely right, but it's
he's
not.
I don't think that necessarily makes for a particularly interesting.
I guess it depends what you're going for. If you're going for that, then sure, go for that. But
I just don't think that someone that's just right all the time is really fucking boring to watch.
Exactly.
I'm like, so they've got no flaws whatsoever, and they're right about everything.
Yeah,
there's
and
no
also,
arc,
Also, sometimes you're just plain fucking wrong.
Yeah.
With his angry as you there's no getting around it. He's an angry man, and it's that.
And when you're angry, you make mistakes. You say things you don't mean, and that's
And I think it's got sort of it's more of he has a more of a redeeming arc. But I think in the end he still has that bite, and he still has that edge.
Yeah.
He's just putting it down for his family, and I've got no problem with that. I think that's fine, actually. His direction's pretty good. It sort of loses it towards the sort of end. It sort of becomes a bit of a mess, but it's okay. They the three of the friends, they go to sort of an Indian casino, and they madness ensues and all that sort of stuff. But it does sort of lose its way a bit. But I think it reins in at the end, and I think it has a satisfying ending. One of my favourite things was it's got Bruce Dern in it.
Wow.
Bruce Dern turns up as an Uber driver. It's like, my God, Bruce Dern, he's 87.
Yeah, I was going to say, how old is he now?
Yeah,
that's
and he's he picks them up as this Uber driver, and he's even more sort of cranky and belligerent than he is.
Yeah, sure. It's like if he thought this generation was cranky, it's like, well, meet the previous generation, they're even more cranky. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get that sort of, and it's very, it's a very small part, but it looks like he's enjoying himself, and it was just nice to see Bruce Dern again.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
I think that it's well acted actually for the most part. Bill Burr's never going to win any awards for his acting or anything, but it's I think he actually does a pretty good job with both acting and directing. I think it's not badly directed. It's okay. Bobby Cannavale's character, I mean, he's intentionally a dipshit. So his character grated on me a little at times. It's like, oh god, this is getting a bit too broad at times. But that was clearly the intention. So I give him a little leeway there.
Yeah.
I was really happy to see Bokeem Woodbine. I haven't seen him in anything for a while, and he's playing the slightly more sensible one,
right?
Whose family life is taking a change for the oh my god, what the hell am I doing? So there's a sort of a crisis thing.
Yeah.
That I think is actually handled relatively well. Actually, I think this is not going to please anyone who is A, not a fan of Bill Burr, and B, does not agree with anything to do with the older generation having any sort of problem with with the younger generation and how they do things. This is not going to appeal to you. And I think
I don't know. In fairness, I don't know why you would be watching this if you're not a fan of Bill Burr. That seems like what he does.
I guess is why you would watch it. I suppose.
Yeah.
I think some real diehard Bill Burr fans will be a little disappointed. I think that he doesn't seem to go full on, rage monster. But for me, it was pretty cool. I liked what he did, and I like Bill Burr a lot. He's never going to be. He's not my favourite stand-up or anything.
No. He's fine. Yeah, he's got his place.
He's got some genuinely funny, sets and things. So I actually thought it was a pretty competent. It's not exactly coming of age. What would you call it? Getting over a midlife crisis sort of thing, or getting over that sort of thing. And there's some really fun bits. There's some relatively satisfying bits that I thought were genuinely funny. So there's a few things that didn't quite hit as much as you'd like, but overall, I think if you're a fan, I would say yes, go for it, because it's funny enough. And if you're a fan of this sort of movie, then it's done well enough to be actually, fun and enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's something. Well, do we want to talk about the fall of the House of Usher here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk about that. So, the fall of the House of Usher, of course, based on the short story, kind of.
But it's based on like almost every Poe story going, isn't there? There's a little.
Yeah, there is a little of everything. Yeah.
I mean, and each episode is a Poe story, so.
Yes, and it doesn't quite work as a result.
Okay, did you find that?
Yeah, overall, I don't want to say I hated it, because there's a lot I liked. I think the cast are really good for the most part.
The cast are phenomenal.
Mark Hamill might be my favourite Mark Hamill performance. He's really loved him in this.
Yeah, he's really good. And I love the arc his character goes on. It's great.
Yes,
he's just accepting of everything.
Yes, and every scene he was in, he stole for me.
Yes.
I was like, wow, you're amazing in this. Yeah. It might be one of my favorite characters of his. Yeah, I think the cast top to bottom are kind of brilliant. I thought the some of the performances are kind of over the top, but I think that's more like they were told to be over the top, so they were acting that way. I felt
any in particular that you
oh goodness, let me try and find I'm trying to find the name. I need to find the film rather than the short story, and then I can go through it. The heart surgeon woman, I thought was a bit. I thought she was great, but I think she was just basically. I don't know. It kind of was a bit over the top in places for me.
That's interesting, because I thought the Telltale Heart was probably one of the best episodes.
Oh no, it's a fine episode. I think all of the episodes are fine to a degree. I just think for me, well, I don't know how to really discuss this without kind of spoiling things, but effectively, let's go through what this is effectively. So you've got
everybody knows the story because it tells you what's going on in the trailer. So
yeah, so effectively in the late 70s, early 80s, the Mr. Usher and his sister make a deal with not the devil, and the deal is you will be great in business and you'll make loads of money and your family will do really well out of it and they'll all live ludicrously extravagant lifestyles and they will never want for anything. However, when you die, everyone dies. Just before you're naturally going to die, the house of Usher will fall and all of your family, everyone related to you, will die.
I mean, it's not a spoiler. I guess it is a slight spoiler, but I presumed she was death.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't really say, does it?
It's well, the way she acts, I presume she's not the devil, like you said. I don't think she's the devil.
I don't know what she's meant to be honest.
She's death.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I thought her performance was great. I think tonally I think the ending annoyed me. That's the main sticking point for me is the cop-out ending. And I don't know how to describe it without spoiling, so I'll try my best. So basically, the whole way through, death or not the devil, whatever it is, is
she's called Varna.
Yeah, Varna. Okay, there we go. So Varna is offing members of the family, or influencing. It's kind of their own downfall generally, but it's know.
Yeah, sort of. It times almost a sort of Final Destination-y type thing.
It does. It kind of feels like Succession meets Final Destination.
Yes. Yeah. That's the pretty way of describing it.
And so the whole way through, she's kind of involved, or she's like because as the story goes on, the sister in particular starts noticing the same person. It's like, I think that's the person we met in the 80s, and all of that.
Yeah, 79.
79, there we go. And it was like, I said late 70s, early 80s. I was pretty close there. It was,
it's the New Year's Eve, isn't it?
Yes, it's a New Year's Eve party, that's right.
Yeah.
And Mr. Usher has come up with this wonder drug, or he's discovered this wonder drug, and he goes to his boss to pitch it, and his boss basically steals it. And, they're kind of a laughingstock in the company. But through actions, they've done a hostile takeover in the most hostile way.
They're sort of the dirty secret, aren't they?
Yes.
The almost open dirty secret of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sort of a bit of a joke.
Yeah. But then they meet Varna in a bar. And she is really over the top and is like, hey, I give you this deal. And obviously they take it and they never talk about it ever again. They're like, oh, that was just a weird dream. That never happened. But then, of course, they do find the success that she promised them.
Yeah.
But then, towards the end, the house starts to fall. So we get, as you said, the individual kind of post stories where, each episode kind of focuses on one character primarily, and it's generally going to be their downfall. So when it's an episode focused on them, you're like, they're the ones to go this week. Or this day, because Netflix releases everything the same day. And that kind of works as a formula. That's fine. I think I'm not quite sure what they were trying to do with the tone, because I think they were trying to be shocking. It kind of came across silly to me quite often.
I can see that.
Like, it felt like it should have been a comedy, and it probably would have worked better in places. And primarily, I think the arc of Verna.
Yeah.
I didn't like the cop-out ending. Because at the end, without spoiling exactly what happens, she's like, oh, well, some good will come of this. And it's like, So, am I meant to think you're good now, or that there was some like you were like altruistic in your decision because now there's good things coming out of it? Because you fucking allowed the murder of about 200 people by acid in the fucking first episode. Like, what? It felt like such a cop out at the end, where it was like, oh, but loads of good will come from this. Well, we don't know that. We assume. Well, I mean, they're privileged, sure.
Yeah, but
did they deserve acid burning?
She did get rid of all the innocents, and she even gave the wife a way out, but the wife ignored her.
Sure, I think that acid death is a little far.
Yeah, no, of course.
Sure.
But then you wouldn't have a horror thing if you didn't have ridiculously...
No, and I agree. But then in your last episode to be like, but I'm really good person, because look what will come of it. It's like, no,
I didn't get that, because I think she was clearly neutral, I think.
Well, she is, but then...
she gave them the opportunity.
You say she's neutral.
Not be assholes.
You say she's neutral, but then there's literally an episode where she's like, well, I'm meant to be neutral, but fuck it. And it's like, oh... Okay, so you're not neutral then when you choose not to be, because she's like, well, actually, you were really horrible, so I'm going to be extra nasty to you. It's like, so you're not neutral.
That is true.
You know, I don't know. For me, it kind of just, I just kind of felt like it kind of fell apart from that perspective and that overall narrative, where I'm like, am I meant to be thinking you're okay now? Because everything you've done up to this point, they're horrible people.
Yeah.
But what you have done is horrific, and now in the end I'm like, oh, but it was good, it's gonna be good. It's like, okay. However,
I didn't. So I thought that I got the impression from my impressions, I thought that she was a more neutral force that just happened to be a force of the universe that can nudge things and change things in a certain way. Given the right circumstances, they could have, not taken the deal or not taken this or not done that.
Sure, she gives them options and they could choose not to take those decisions. Yeah. Like they could have not taken the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Although she does kind of back them into a corner there as well. Because doesn't she pretty much say, you're not going to get away with this unless you agree with the deal? So... she does
say, if you didn't take the deal, he would have been a poet. He would have been a
they would have struggled, basically, is what she says.
And they would have struggled more and stuff, but they would have been, what they were, other than what they could have been this.
Yeah.
So she did kind of give them the option. I mean, you could argue that they were already fucked, and they were going to take the deal that made them super rich because of the circumstances of their family.
Mm-hmm.
But
I overall I liked it. I didn't think it was terrible by any stretch. I did like some of the episodes. I liked more than others. I think some of the stories were more interesting than others.
Absolutely.
It does do a good. It does a good job of, like, you kind of know. There's very little in the way of surprise in terms of how these people die. It's kind of like that Final Destination thing. You kind of know what's going to happen. It's like, okay, this is good. Like, oh, we'll just use the tanks on the roof that are maybe filled with water. Don't know what's in them. This used to be a science lab. That's just okay.
Yeah. This used to be a terrible science place.
But I'm sure they wouldn't have hidden anything nasty on the roof. I was a bit confused by that. Anyway, it's like, do you really want, even if that best case scenario, that is rainwater that has accumulated for how long? And you're just gonna
even if it's just clean. Well, if it was initially
it's like Legionnaire's disease everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been festering in those tanks God knows how long, so it's going to be nasty anyway.
Yeah.
But they did explain why the chemicals were in the tanks.
Oh yeah, no, they did do a good job of that. Yeah. No, what I meant was it was a stupid thing to do, even if there wasn't acid in the tanks. Like, your best case scenario, you're making a lot of people, including yourself, very ill.
That character didn't really come across as being
no. He was an idiot, so it kind of worked. Like he was a moron. Um, I quite enjoyed the cat bit. That was quite fun.
Yeah.
The monkey bit was good. I liked most of the stories. I think were pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, if you know the Poe stories,
you know what's coming. Yeah.
You know what's coming. I mean, the murders in the room arc thing. I thought, oh, okay, well, I know where this is going then, because we've already seen the chimps.
Yes, yeah.
You know, we've seen the surgeon and stuff. I actually thought it was going to be the doctor that was going to get the murders in the room arc one.
I did think that actually at first. Yeah. So.
And then when you think, oh no, the heart thing makes way more bloody sense, doesn't it? Of course. So the Telltale Heart. What I love about the Telltale Heart is you ask someone about the Telltale Heart, and there's going to be a big section of the audience whose experience of the Telltale Heart is Lisa Simpson in that episode of Literally House.
I thought the same actually. Yes.
That's what my wife was like. Oh, that's the Simpsons episode, isn't it? It's like, yes. Yes, it is.
Man, I used to love those Treehouse of Horror episodes back in the 90s, like early 2000s.
The really early ones are
fantastic.
Brilliant.
Really
I've
good.
heard that they're not terribly good these days, but then I don't understand why you're still watching The Simpsons.
I haven't watched The Simpsons for probably the best part of a decade, maybe more.
Same here. I don't think I've seen it for a good 10 years. So.
But I used to. They used to be the best episodes, I thought, the Treehouse of Horror ones.
Yeah, because they were really creative in most of the time. They were just really fun.
And they were always an anthology, and I like anthology horror, so...
It was either, real great homages to...
Classic.
Great literature or films, or just really fun creative things.
Yeah,
just there's some really fun things there. I really enjoyed this. I thought it really tickled me. I was a little apprehensive about the whole updating Poe stuff, but I actually thought they did a pretty good job of.
I think they did a reasonable job in updating the stories.
Some of them, I like the Roderick and Madeline is the main sort of the matriarch and patriarch of this sort of family who I thought they had quite an interesting arc too from what because I think obviously the way they were set up, you're supposed to feel sorry for them because of their circumstance.
Yes,
your sympathy doesn't last very long because they're horrible people.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the problem with this one over something like Midnight Mass, or certainly the first the Haunted Hill one, Hill House one, is that with those ones there were characters that you loved and you were on their side.
Oh yeah, you hate everyone in this. Like
in this, they're all assholes.
Well, apart from the one person you're clearly not meant to hate.
Yes, Eleanor, was it?
Yes, yeah.
Eleanor?
She's like
It was so sweet. She was lovely.
She was adorable. Yeah. She's adorable the whole way through.
And she was really good in Midnight Mass, is what I mean.
She was. Well, they all of the cast members that are in this that were also in Midnight Mass or in other projects of his. I honestly don't think I have a bad thing to say about any of the cast in this, because even when, as I said, I felt like some of the performances were a little over the top in places. That is direction. That's not actors, right? Because they're all very accomplished actors, and the cast in this is superb across the board.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and great to see Bruce Greenwood again. I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's been a while since I've seen him.
He was great. And I think that so the problem it has is there are no real sympathetic characters. I suppose you could say Augie or was the person that you were supposed to be there for, the lawyer guy.
Yes.
Was he a lawyer?
Yeah, he's their lawyer slash.
Because but I don't think they filled him out enough to make you really want to know him more. He was
no.
You got this, the stuff from the 70s, which filled in his character a bit, but you didn't. I don't think it really endeared him to you too much. So you've got that, and I think the other problem is I don't think there was any real memorable moments in this series that will stay with me, like from Midnight Mass. Like,
No.
I think is it episode 6 or 7, the ending of that episode of Midnight Mass on the boat.
Yeah.
Wow,
ending
will stay with me forever.
I feel like the only bits that are going to stick with me from this show long term are going to be the bits I thought were really silly, like the acid in the club, or it's very over the top and silly.
The Telltale Heart episode will probably stay with me because there was some. I thought there was
some
really
nice moments.
Really good uses of the noise in that, which I thought were quite nice. But they're not like the bent neck lady and Nell's reactions and all that sort of stuff, or that great jumps. I mean, one of the greatest jump scares ever in the car. There's none of that.
No.
So it's not going to be as memorable as that. But I think overall, it's a really well done.
Yeah, it's a very well
acted. Really cool horror movie. I actually like it better than Bly Manor. Bly Manor for me is still the worst.
Yeah, he didn't do much of Bly Manor though, did he? He did like one episode, I think he directed.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
Yeah, I know he was involved, but I think because I know he did Hill House, didn't he? And then I want to say Bly Manor was like the same production team, but he took a back seat, I think.
So I think the thing with that one is I think what this one does better than that one is that this one, I think all of the stories that they used, I think they integrated better. I think with the Bly Manor, I can't remember the name of the author, the ghostwriter that they had for that, the ghost story writer.
Yeah, so for Bly Manor, he was director for one episode.
Okay.
And he was basically executive producer. He was the creator, so but less involved
With that one, I don't think the stories that they used in that one gelled as well. I think they just didn't feel.
Did you watch Midnight Club in the end?
I did watch Midnight Club. I think we were. I'm pretty sure we reviewed Midnight Club.
I liked it.
I really quite liked it. Midnight Club. It was a lot.
Yeah, I liked Midnight Club.
I was like him. I was very pissed off when they cancelled it.
Yeah, I thought that was. I was actually really happy to see another season of that.
Yeah, because it was nicely set up. I wanted to know more.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to know more about the house and the people and that family. All those portraits and pictures we saw on the walls and that. I was like, I want to know about those people.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure he was going to get there. But
do you think he was like, fine, from now on I'm going to do shows where everyone dies?
Well, I think this is his last.
Is this his last Netflix thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So I know he's doing Nosferatu, isn't he?
I'm curious to see what he does with it.
Yeah, I am too.
Because he's good. Like, I mean, normally I'd be like, oh god, no, but I think he's very talented.
I'm agreed.
I'm curious to see.
Doctor Sleep is, I think, an amazing movie.
I think it's a wonderful film. I really like Doctor Sleep. I was very surprised at how good Doctor Sleep was. I think anytime you're taking a beloved film and doing a sequel that many years later, like, I'm not sure. Because it is a sequel to Kubrick's The Shining. It's not just it's the next book. It's like, no, actually it is actually in that universe, and that's a very difficult thing to do, but I think he did a fantastic job in that.
Yeah, and from what I gather, he did a pretty good job of blending the two. So the sort of the movie elements with the book elements.
With the book, yeah, because I don't think in the book they don't go back to the hotel or anything.
I've not read the book, so
I've not. I just think I'm sure I heard that that's not what happens in the book, and that's obviously tying
King was
it back
happy,
in.
so
yeah. Which is weird because he wasn't happy with the Kubrick movie.
He's a lot more forgiving of it now, I think. But
after he made his own naff version, yeah.
Absolutely baffled by people's response to the movie, really, for years.
Yeah.
I think,
it's a weird disconnect.
Yeah,
I guess
his version's terrible.
I guess when it's yours and you've got such a set vision for something, if someone comes along and does something totally different, And I know
there's a lot of stuff with the Jack Torrance character that it just completely gets left out of, because I've it's been a long time since I've read The Shining, but but I have read it a long time ago, and there's a lot of stuff that they left out. But so I can see why he was pissed off with it. but I think it works for that movie.
Yeah. So I certainly didn't hate this.
No.
I liked it quite a lot. I think it's just, yeah, it just didn't quite stick the landing for me, if I'm honest. And I thought tonally it was a bit weird in places. But it's certainly carried by the cast. The cast are amazing.
I mean, I'd certainly recommend it to anybody who's seen the others.
I'd recommend watching it for sure. I think just generally it's worth a watch.
She said his name, Mike Flanagan, her series and movies. I think there's certainly enough nasty stuff to keep any horror fan relatively happy and amused.
Yeah. I mean,
there were some really nice things in it, and some quite nasty deaths.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that quite worked for me. It kind of came across more silly than nasty.
Okay.
For me, most of the time, anyway. I mean, certainly the woman who survives and is then getting tortured that's pretty horrific. That whole bit, I was like, I don't like you, but I am starting to feel sorry for you now because this is horrendous.
I mean, Henry Thomas's character,
oh god,
is just vile, and
he is tremendous.
Yeah. I've
never thought I'd see the kid from E.T. act like that.
he was such a twisted fucker.
Oh god, yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, yes, like you said, with the tone thing, it is, his character is way over the top.
Yes.
With just diabolical they make him.
Mm-hmm.
And I see what you mean about the punishment. But for me, that kind of worked. I didn't mind that so much.
I didn't mind it, but then it's kind of off when you're then saying, well, it's neutral. It's like, well, no, because not neutral, clearly. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just thought there was some of it is kind of at odds with itself, and for me, that kind of softball ending, I would have just preferred it if it was like, no, I'm murdering everyone, evil, because you agreed to the deal, and that's the deal. Rather than like, oh, but actually, maybe she was a force for good all along. Like, no, not really.
No, she wasn't a force for good. She's just a force of the universe. I think she's, there to facilitate certain things happening.
Sure.
That's the way I saw it anyway.
Yeah, I think I was, if it wasn't for that speech of like, oh, but such wonderful things will happen because of this. It's like. Yeah, you've murdered a fuck ton of people. Like, I don't know, but but
you needed that speech for that particular character.
Yeah, I guess maybe she just
because of who that character is and what that character's done. It was kind of like this is going to happen, but you
would it have not just been kinder to just snap her neck without her knowing? And then she's dead. Like, I'm going to kill you now, but like, oh, thanks, cool.
No, I like the way they did it. Actually, I thought it was sort of sweet.
Yeah, it's sort of. It is sort of sweet. It's everything that preceded it feeling kind of at odds with that for me.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. It and overall, I certainly recommend watching it. I don't think that Mike Flanagan, and I'll probably look on Wikipedia later and be like, oh no, that's awful. But I don't think anything Mike Flanagan's done is not worth watching. Like, I think it's all worth watching.
Well, I don't know, Bly Manor, man.
I liked Bly Manor. I did like it. I liked it more than you did. I'd like to give a shout out to Ruth Codd as the wife of Frederick. Her character, bless her, was she was another one of the only innocents. Yeah.
Well, not innocents because of her past, but I love there was one particular scene during Tamerlane's episode where she's on stage freaking out, and Juno is she because Tamerlane is looking at Varna, but obviously no one else can fucking see Varna.
Yeah.
And she's sort of like directing questions at her, but it looks like she's talking to Juno. And I love the sweet little answers, like Juno's trying to be happy in this family, and she's desperately trying to sort of like appeal to the one person she knows fucking hates her.
They are so horrible
so sweet,
to her.
And what happens to her in that end scene was so funny.
I thought she was dead.
I did as well. I thought, well, there's no way she's getting up from that.
No, I thought like that stoved her head in and she was dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all so horrible to her the whole way through as well. Like when they're at the dining scene, when they're just like talking like as if she's a thing. They're like, why is it talking?
And she was brilliant. She was so sweet in the episode. And she was amazing in Midnight Club. She was probably the best character.
She was the best character for me.
Because when in the first sort of couple of episodes, my God, they do their best to make you hate that character.
Yeah, and then you realize why she is the way she is, and that's really good. You know, that's a really nice character arc and reveal where you realize like
really well.
Yeah, and then she becomes such a an ally of the main character and such a good friend of hers. Then it's like, oh, okay, actually, like once she's there, she's there. You've just got to get to know her and get past that block. Yeah, she was tremendous in that, and she's great in this. Like,
I was really, I thought she was really fun in this series.
Yes, yeah, I think everyone had a lot of fun making it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so too. Yeah, it certainly looked like they were having a ball.
I mean, God, be honest with you, like my issues with this series aside, like this is up there with the Joker for me for Mark Hamill performances. I loved him in this. I thought he was really good.
Great. He was so great, and I like the sort of weird hints at what happened.
Yeah.
In his past, I was like, "Ooh, cool! I'd kind of like to see that."
Mm. Yeah, I'd watch a prequel about him.
It would have been fun.
Yeah.
Some of those sort of things that happened on that.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. But like I said, I have issues, but Mark Hamill's performance
it's
really
certainly
loved.
Not the best of those series, but it's certainly not the worst either. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm a pretty big Poe fan, so I think as modernizing goes, I thought they did a pretty good job actually.
I think it. Yeah, like I said, I think it. I think you liked it more than I did, but I did like it. Yeah, some issues aside, I thought it's worth a watch for sure. So, what else have you watched?
So I've also seen Dark Harvest.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this one.
So I sort of, when I looked into this, it sounds like it was a movie that's kind of been shelved for a bit.
Okay.
It looks like it was one of the last MGM movies before Amazon bought them.
Oh, that was a while ago.
So it feels yeah. I think I think it's been on a short shelf with them not quite knowing what to do with it. And now Amazon's just released it basically. So we've got it's based on a book, and so we've got it's a late 50s, early 60s. I think it's when it's set. A Midwest American town, and every year, this creature called Sawtooth Jack appears, basically during the harvest, and he goes, rises up from the fields, and then he basically travels across the town to try and get to the church.
Okay.
Right. And the town's boys, in a sort of Lord of the Flies sort of, battle royale type sort of thing, they get locked in their rooms for a couple of days, starved, and then released, and they have to chase down Jack to prevent him from getting to the church. If he gets to the church,
I was going to say,
if they
why?
kill him and,
Right.
and smash him apart,
yeah,
because he's candy inside him and stuff.
Oh, okay.
If they smash him apart, next year's
candy.
harvest will be great.
Right.
If he gets to the church, then famine, dust clouds, tornadoes, that sort of thing.
How did they find out about this?
Doesn't really tell you.
Okay, it's just a thing. This happened, and it's happened forever in this town. Okay,
I'll get into that in a bit. But so basically, the main character is Richie. So in the first thing, his brother is like doing his older brother is doing the run, and he gets there. He rips apart Sawtooth Jack, and there's a big celebration. Hooray! You did it. Here's this check for $20,000 and a brand new shiny. It's not a Corvette. It's not a Corvette. I can't remember what it is. Brand new shiny car.
We don't do cars.
So, well, I do cars, but I didn't know what it was he was driving.
I have no knowledge when it comes to cars.
The other one later on is a Corvette, and that's fucking awesome.
Right.
I'm not.
So a car, a sports car, sporty car,
lovely 60s sports car. Let's put it that. Let's say that. I was trying to think. What was I saying?
Older brother.
Whoever actually wins, they get money, they get a car, and they also are allowed to leave the town. No one is allowed to leave the town.
Oh, okay.
Right? No one's allowed to leave the town.
So they're like quite an isolated town, and no one leaves unless you win.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he gets his check, and also the family of the person basically gets to live in a new, nice, shiny house, and they get a new house, new car and stuff, and they get no bills for a year.
Okay.
Right. So off he goes into the sunset. Bye, la 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 la. No one hears from him again.
Sure.
Except for the odd postcard. Hey, I'm in New Orleans, or that sort of stuff. So now it's a year later, and Richie is now got his little group of friends. They're like it's like the outsiders. They're like the bandits.
Okay.
They've got their jackets with bandits on the back, and
oh, nice. So they're like proper
and
proper 60s,
Man, dude,
50s, 60s.
Soundtrack to this is fucking awesome. It's like really cool 50s stuff,
Nice.
and weirdly some 80s tunes, which again I'll get into in a bit.
I feel like you're front loading the positivity here.
Yeah. So so he's the harvest is coming up again.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the boys are are in the sports hall at school, and the police chief comes in and he's talking to them and saying, you've got to do your best and do this and blah, 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 blah. And of course, there's your typical bully characters and all that sort of stuff. But there's the pacifists who, oh no, we're not going to kill anybody. You force us to do this, but we don't have to kill anybody.
And presumably this town are was the 50s, and they're isolated to where they or their main export is crop, I guess. So if the crops fail,
doesn't tell you.
Okay, fine.
You presume.
You presume that it doesn't say. Yeah, that's fine.
You presume that you do get told that the 1 year that he made it to the town to the church,
mm-hmm.
It literally went like dust ball.
Okay, so it was bad times for that.
Yeah,
year.
they had full on tornadoes and like a year. I think it was more than 1 year of just shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up relatively well that if he gets there,
it's bad. Yeah. It's bad news. Yeah. Fair enough. So it's the turn of the outsiders.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So, but Richie's not allowed to run because it's one of the rules that the family that.
Oh, because the brother won the previous year.
Yeah. So
right.
They you can't run. Your brother ran. He won. Your brother's a hero. Blah blah blah. And he's like, fuck that shit. I want to get out of this town. This shitty town.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the best place to live.
Yeah, and there's a new girl in town, and called Kelly, who works at the cinema, and they obviously it's a black girl, so she's got all the things that come with being a black girl in the
50s,
in the late 50s, early 60s. Yeah. That those sort of connotations, but they kind of have a thing. She's rumored to have burnt down someone's barn, and and a mine apparently, and she's bad news, all that sort of stuff. And then you get all these scenes where you see the parents locking their but girls aren't allowed to go either. It's just the boys. So you get the scenes where the boys are all locked in their rooms for like 3 days and they're just them smashing their rooms up like, give me something to drink, give me something to eat.
Yeah, this is abuse.
Let me out, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually that's it. They get let out, they're released, and they all wear these, they all wear masks, and there's like three of these kids wandering around with Three Stooges masks on, which is
nice.
Quite funny. And the masks that they're wearing, his little bandits group,
Misfits skull masks
are Misfits.
Yeah, I was going to say they look like the Misfits.
Yeah, it's the Misfits cover. I can't remember what they call him. Is it something Spectre or something?
Yeah, something like that. I forget.
Red Spectre or something. I can't remember. Something like that. So
is it the Crimson Ghost? Is it Crimson Ghost? Is that right?
Crimson Ghost. That's it.
Yeah,
that makes it. Yeah. No. So they're wearing these sort of Misfit masks, and they look really fucking cool, actually.
Yeah, they do.
And obviously, there's other things going on here. There's weird stuff. Right. So, first of all, the director is David Slade, who'd previously done Hard Candy and 30 Days of Night.
So both of those are amazing for very different reasons. One of them is very difficult to sit through, but is a very good film.
Yes.
And the other one is just a great horror movie.
Which is something else. But I love 30 Days of Night. I think it's a brilliant, beautiful, stylish.
Funny enough, I was talking to my housemate about how brilliant that film is the other day. It's one of those films I haven't watched anywhere near as much as I probably should. And every time I rewatch it, I'm reminded of just how great that film is.
Oh, it's so
really
wonderful. I love that movie. I mean, being the vampire head I am, it's one of my favorite vampire movies.
Yeah.
And Hard Candy is
wonderful.
Like you said, wow, that
wonderful
movie
film.
is like, oof.
Don't think I want to watch it again, but
No, I don't want to watch it again either. But it's a great movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a pretty cool director. He's a very stylish director, and it is beautifully directed. Actually, some of the shots are really beautiful. The lighting, especially in some of the shots, was really, really, really good. Really appreciated it.
Yeah.
What I will say is, I don't know whether some of it was filmed during the pandemic, because there's some bits that are like a bit like, hang on, are they? What? This doesn't feel like. There seems to be only one copper in this fucking town.
Oh, that's very The Blob like.
Which is really weird. It's like.
Well, it's a bit of a weird setup anyway, isn't it?
Copper villain as well. He's like real dickhead copper, who's just trying to keep everybody in order and make things run smoothly. He's that sort of
He's the
guy.
Cop from Rambo, from First Blood.
Yes, yeah. He's the cop from Rambo, yeah. And when they try to escape, he sort of tries to escape at one point. He's just sort of there, and you think, well, how did he know he was going to escape? What did he? There were so many questions in this movie.
Well, I mean, the whole setup is puzzling to me, just from what you're saying about it. Like, why doesn't everyone just leave this horrible town and let it go to shit?
Yeah.
There are plenty of ghost towns in America, They
don't explain. They don't explain
any
how
of it
started.
Yeah.
How they found out what happens.
Because it's oddly specific, isn't it?
What's
to know that this supernatural creature will rise once a year and must get to that specific building over there. What happens if we knock the building down? What happens if we move the building farther away? Like there are so many variables that we're not going to cover here.
Yeah. There's the Harvest Guild, which is obviously the guild that controls the town.
Sure.
But you don't really get enough of them. There are no sort of. I mean, there's a guy that does the speeches and stuff, who's obviously the head of the guild.
Yeah.
But you never get a sense of him or, any of the guild members. You get a couple of shots of these creepy smiling dudes a couple of times, but they're never really. They don't feel like a presence that controls and keeps everything, if you know what I mean.
I'm weirdly from what you're saying, I'm still weirdly on board with this weird movie concept.
The design of the
creature
Jack is really good. It's really cool, sort of Pumpkinhead Jack sort of type guy. It's really skinny body.
He sounds terrifying.
Well, emaciated, and he's got this.
I'm not sure I'd want to eat the candy that comes out of this emaciated body. But
all the kids are starving at this point, so
I know, but
they're like, they're ravenous to get anything to
go
eat.
and get a burger after.
There was a really cool. I would call it a cameo because he doesn't really get any lines. Mark Bonner Jr. is this sort of butcher in it who's like
nice.
patrolling his butcher shop with a shotgun, which is quite. And some of the kills are really cool and gory. And there's one particular one where he basically grabs a guy by his mouth and pulls his head, open, which was really cool. And there's one shot in a bunker, which I thought, oh, that's really. I mean, I hasten to say beautiful, but it was beautiful.
Well, no, something can be beautiful and also horrific. That it's well shot, right? It's beautifully shot.
Yeah, it was a beautifully horrific shot.
Yes,
that I really enjoyed. Like I said, and I don't know how much was practical and how much was CG. There's certainly a neck stabbing that was really bad CG.
Sure,
but I'm pretty sure Jack was mostly practical, I think.
Well, that's admirable. And to be honest, if it's not practical but you're questioning it, it's clearly well done.
If it's just CG, it's cool CG. I thought Jack was a really cool design. You will know what's going on. I mean, certainly horror fans who've ever seen anything like this will go, okay, I see where this is going.
But much like Fall of the House of Usher, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not. Overall, I think it's actually it was an enjoyable movie. I was really with it. I'm
kind of intrigued, I must admit.
The two leads, Casey Likes, who plays Richie, and Emery Crutchfield, who plays Kelly. I was really on board with those two characters. I really liked them. I thought he had enough troubled angst stuff to make him not tip over into.
So is his plan was to win and escape with her somehow? I guess
he wants
to run away and take her with him.
He wants to win and go and kind of be with his brother, find his brother, because him and his brother were like almost like best friends, so he just wants to get out, and he although he's getting these postcards, he's worried about his brother.
I was going to say, I've got to be honest, my first thought when you said, oh, the brother wins, and then he's sending postcards, and he's like, oh, I'm in wherever, New York or whatever. My first thought was The Running Man, where like the winners have just been murdered somewhere, and they're just sending fake videos of them.
This movie will think, one of the problems is this movie will make you think of things like Children of the Corn or or anything sort of Pumpkinhead or anything sort of like that, and it doesn't do enough to distance itself from those movies.
Sure, really. Yeah,
but it's good enough and fun enough and performed well enough that I really enjoyed it. Jeremy Davis plays the dad. He's really good. The guy who's playing the sheriff is, let me see, where is he? He played Lenny Bruce in Mrs. Maisel. I think he's a really tremendous actor.
Yeah.
He was really great as this awful fucking Luke Kirby. He's great as the awful overbearing copper. So yeah, the performances are really really cool. I really liked all the kids. They were all just the right side of annoying. Even the bullies were just the right for me anyway. I'm sure the other people will find them annoying as fuck, but for me they were just the right side of annoying to make me want to be with to spend time with them and stuff. The disappointing thing for me was there are so many questions, and I know we discussed this when we were watching something the other day, that sometimes you don't need explanations.
No, absolutely not. And I can accept a reality if you're like, this is the reality we live in, and this is the crazy situation. And also, I guess this movie.
But this movie didn't feel like that.
Yeah, because they could have made it so that it's like kind of almost like, well, from the children's perspective, nothing's explained to them, and they're just like, like the parents know.
No, but... there's even a weird sort of feeling at times that they think he's mythical. Like some of the kids are like, "Oh, he doesn't really exist." He's like,
yeah, I was thinking that, but then I guess if it happens every year, it's kind of hard to deny. Yeah,
you people see him. I mean, because everybody is supposed to keep indoors while this is going on, except for the boys who are running around. But these, they do it every year, so people must have seen that thing. So that's a bit odd.
Well, and you wouldn't force your kids to go through this if you were pretty sure it was a thing, right?
Exactly.
You'd imagine.
There's some sort of this thing with maybe just a few more a bigger police presence might have made it sort of feel a bit,
Yeah, or some context as to how
there's a guy that you see
everything
works in
works
the fields that seems to sort of have something to do with it, but again, it's never really explained.
Because I think it could work if it was like a really isolated community.
It's pretty, you do get the feeling that it's very isolated,
and they make it clear that the crops are only export. It's a real sort. This town is built off of the mine, and oh god, the mine's gonna fail if we don't stop the demon creature thing is full of candy. Then you're like, okay, and like you said, more police to be like, there's a firm border that people are not escaping from.
Exactly.
Somehow, or even, hey, there's like this magical barrier around the town, no one can leave.
And and that was also what made there were times when I thought, this might be it's not really a spoiler because it never gets addressed. But there were times when I thought, this isn't the 60s, is it?
Yeah, did you think it was like The Village? It's like, oh, it's 2023.
And there's and because of the masks, and there's even one point where I think it's the Three Stooges kids, actually, it might be them. They're discussing clearly the Misfits. They're clearly discussing the Misfits, and it's like, so are they not in the 60s? Are they actually in now, sort of thing, or the 80s, or what?
Yeah, I mean, the Misfits, you could argue, like 70s, you might have heard of them.
Yeah,
but,
But it's still.
No, still, like not in the 50s, for sure, not in the 50s.
It was a sort of, and I wouldn't say it was jarring when you heard the slightly more modern songs, because
I guess it's just one of those movies that's just a bit weird.
Yeah,
and kind of timeless and odd. Yeah.
Again, it felt like it was sort of building up questions.
I'm intrigued. I must
be bothered to answer.
I think I'm trying to kind of weigh up in my mind.
In this case, it was more annoying than it.
Yeah.
Like some movies where they just go, no, this is just the world. This is how it is. This one felt very much like, I think I'm going to need a bit more explanation, please. I think I'd like some more stuff. And I did look up the book, and apparently the book's got an entirely different ending.
Oh.
So I think some of the fans of the book might be very disappointed in this movie.
I'm trying to weigh up whether in my mind it's going to frustrate me more than it's going to please me, because I'm kind of down with this weird concept, but
yeah, I recommend it for the performances, the main characters, and the actual the kills and Sawtooth Jack himself.
Yeah, it sounds like that sounds really impressive. Yeah, I definitely want to see the creature. So
he's a very cool monster. I liked what they did with that. And there's a sort of weird explanation for certain things at the end, but not enough to sort of make you go, okay, now I get it. It's right. Just like too many unanswered questions made it a little annoying. But having said that, overall, I would say if you're a horror fan, you could really do worse than watch this. It's well directed, well acted. It's got a nice monster. It's actually pretty good horror movie. I would say, hey, if you want something new for Halloween, because there's not fucking much.
No, I was going to say there's not much.
Halloween. If you want something new that I think will appeal to you if you're a horror fan, this is it. This is a pretty good movie, actually. I did enjoy it. If you're diehard fucking hardcore and you don't want to be reminded of any of those movies, then no. If you want something really, really new and really, really,
then this is not it.
Fucking good luck anyway. But
yeah, I was going to say it's not.
It's not for you. But if you want a well-crafted, well-acted movie, I think this is pretty good. I liked it.
Cool. Well, I knew this was going to be shit. So let's just cards on the table. Even if this was as good as it could have been, it still would have been rubbish because it's a series of rubbish. But it was once enjoyable rubbish.
Are we talking Saw?
No, although that could have applied to Saw. I haven't seen the latest Saw movie. No, this is going to expend 4 balls. Spend 4 balls. Expendables 4. It's done that.
Did we not review this?
No, I reviewed the Meg too, which I enjoyed.
Okay.
I have not reviewed Expendables 4. No.
Okay.
Because I would remember if I'd seen Expendables 4 before today, or not today, this week.
Yeah. I thought we talked about this.
Maybe I think we probably talked about how bad it looked.
Yes.
For sure. And I did review Expendables 3 on this show, and I definitely reviewed Expendables 2 on the radio.
Yeah.
Now, by the time I saw this, I had heard the buzz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a lot of online talk of like, this is the worst film of the year. This is absolutely awful. So I went.
I could gather they've got progressively worse. Anyway.
Oh, they have. I mean, the third one I thought was shit. I liked the first one for what it was. I enjoyed the second one. It wasn't, even by the second one. The first one was like, oh, cool. Okay, we're getting all the old action stars back, and it's going to be like a real cheesy 80s action movie with these over-the-hill action stars plus Jason Statham, right? And that was fun, and it was a really nice setup, and I have a real soft spot for that era of action movie. So I was all about it. The second one, it was getting a little tired even by the second one, but every time it was always this like, oh, who are they going to have this time? We've got Chuck Norris turning up and, or whatever. The third one, they had Antonio Banderas and Ronda Rousey and Wesley Snipes.
I haven't seen the third one.
It's not great. It feels very much like they were kind of going for more of a teen audience. They toned down all the gore and all the blood and all of that stuff, and it was more of a like, maybe we can appeal to a wider audience. And it's like, no, know your audience.
That's not good, is it? No.
Know your audience. So, of course, all of the market for Expendables 4 was like, we heard you, the gore's back, and, that was the thing.
The weird thing about I'm pretty sure I've said this before.
Yeah.
The first one, I don't know what it was about that. There's a scene where Stallone like murders a load of people in the plane, and
when they go back and blow the dock up.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Something about that scene really made me like, oh, this just feels wrong.
Yeah.
And it's they're action stars. 80s sort of action stars, and they sort of do that, but that one that felt mean, and it just felt mean spirited. You know what I mean?
No, I get it, because it is like there are some army guys on the dock, but it's like this like pissant wooden dock. Presumably innocent people are there too.
Mm-hmm. He just turns the plane down. And
they're like no threat. They are no threat to them at all because they've escaped. And he's like, no, we're just going to go back and napalm them all. It's like, wow, okay. Because they take one flight pass over and leak petrol, aviation fuel onto them. And then they fly back the other way and shoot it with like a flare gun. Doesn't Jason Statham shoot it with a flare gun? And then they blow up the whole dock and everyone on it burns to death horribly. And they're celebrating in the plane. And it's like, oh, that was kind of horrific. Yeah. And
I mean, it does seem weird, coming from me that there's
I agree.
things. But for some reason, that particular me off that movie.
I think it made me.
I saw the second one kind of because I felt like I kind of needed to.
Sure.
And it was fine, but after that I was like, yeah, I'm not bothering with this.
Yeah, I agree. The second one is fine. Is probably the best way to describe the second one. I felt like the second one was the natural conclusion to this nonsense, right?
Yes.
Because in the second one, Arnold's got he's no longer a governor. He's got a starring role in it. Arnold's in it loads. Bruce Willis is in it loads. You've even got Chuck Norris in it at his age, even back then. It felt like this is it. We've peaked here in terms of who you're gonna get. Steven Seagal, fuck off. So
it felt that's the dignified.
Oh, and Van Damme's the villain in the second one as well. So it really did feel like this is it, and we're done now, and that's cool. And all of the aging action stars have had their catchphrase, because they all get their catchphrase in the second movie as well, don't they? So. Oh, this is where I say get to the chopper, or this is where I say, I'll be back, or whatever, is that okay, fine, they've done it, the third one was like PG-13 town and just missed the point, really. So this one, they were like, hey, we're bringing back the gore, and we're going back to what the Expendables was. But even from the trailer, you get those alarm bells. But I had heard such universally awful things about this movie that I have this horrible... There's this horrible thing in my brain when something is so thoroughly bad that people are... Crash. I'm like, I have to know.
You wanted to watch the car crash.
I have to know. I'm that fucking idiot in every horror film that you scream and scream. You're like, why would you go in there? And I'm like, I just had to know.
Why are you watching this?
like, why are you reading from the Necronomicon? I just had to, it was a really evil looking book, and I'm like, that's clearly a bad idea, so I feel like I just want to do it. And this kind of brings us to Expendables.
I really hate it when movies do that.
Can we just all agree to fucking stop putting letters?
I've never heard one person say, hey, that's clever, let's do that.
But they obviously think it is, because they do it all the time.
Oh.
What is it with... don't swap letters for the number 3 or 4, please.
No, stop it.
At least 3 works better as an E. 4 doesn't even work. 4 doesn't even make sense in the placing of the bloody thing. It doesn't look like an A. It's like, what are you even doing? It doesn't even work. But they did it anyway. Yeah, it's a trope that needs to go. Definitely. Yeah. Anyway, Expendables 4. So I'd heard such universally bad things. I was like, okay, but I do have this contractual obligation since birth to watch everything that Sylvester Stallone's in. So I'm gonna watch it. And
I'm looking forward to that his doc that's coming up.
Our Netflix. The whole point now is that I run out the clock until we run out of time, and I don't have to talk about this fucking movie. We'll just talk about everything other than Expendables 4 for the next hour. Are Netflix gonna do every over the hill?
I think so.
Stars, because they've done Arnold, they've done David Beckham, and now they're doing Stallone as well.
I love it.
What?
I find it hilarious that you just put David Beckham in with.
Well, it's just I don't know. I don't do football, for one, and for another, he's got to be getting on, and they've done a documentary about him. They have done that, right? That's something they've done.
But that tickled me.
All right, maybe that was harsh. David Beckham fans, I take it back. David Beckham is incredibly talented and definitely not over the hill.
I'm not a football fan either, but that was funny.
It feels like I don't know. It just felt like a lot of. We're in the pandemic verse now, where like the only thing we could do for 2 years was documentaries. So welcome to Documentary Town. Fine. Anyway,
I'm actually looking forward to the Stallone.
No, me too. I am. I enjoyed the Arnold one.
I haven't seen it actually.
It's good. I mean, all of these are obviously biased by the person.
Yeah, of course they are.
Centered around, but it was interesting nonetheless. And Stallone, I've always liked Stallone. Just generally, he always seemed like a nice guy, and I like his movies, and I like his directing, and I think he's one of those action stars that can really act when he wants to. You know.
Yeah.
Now,
and fight.
Yes, and write and direct. He's very talented. I think he just realized in the 80s what made him money, and it wasn't acting. It was, having muscles and blowing things up.
Plus, to be fair, he is a good actor, but he's a type.
He is, and no one watched him.
He's never going to play.
Copland was the big experiment.
Sorry?
Copland was the big experiment, and no one watched it.
That worked to his strengths, though, because
it's a brilliant movie, but I don't think enough people watched it, and he was like, okay, I'll make way more money if I just make more Rocky movies, or Rambo,
Copland, for me, is right up there with Rocky.
Oh, it's one of his best movies, for sure.
It's an amazing movie. And you're right, I don't think enough people have seen it, because I think it
bombed, and that's why he went away and was like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing action then,
And it's got a great fucking cast as well.
Tremendous cast.
And he's so good at it as a sort of, a guy who's protecting a town full of retired police people and policemen. A guy who failed to be a policeman is protecting them. It's like, it's such a cool idea. I love it.
It's a great movie, and that brings us nicely on to Expendables 4. It is every bit as bad as everyone said. It genuinely. And I went in kind of like, is it really that bad, guys? It might be all right. It is shockingly bad, and shockingly bad, especially in context. And by context, I mean that they apparently spent $100 million on this film, because this film's effects, the explosions, it has worse green screen than some films I've made. It is I don't know where the money went for this film. It looks
probably just on the cast.
Well, you say that, but then the cast this time around, so all of them are gone.
Well, I suppose, actually, looking at the names,
they're all gone.
None of them are massive names.
Even the ones that were in the last one are gone. So now the Expendables are comprised of Jason Statham, Megan Fox,
which
50 Cent,
hilarious.
Randy Couture is still
how
around.
50 Cent, a member of this. It's such a weird choice.
It gets really weird later on as well because
he was in that action game. I don't know.
Well, he's a man with muscles. And I guess that was the criteria. I don't know.
He's an older guy with muscles.
Yeah, older guy with muscles. I don't know. It's weird but he's in it. Why is Megan Fox in this? I don't know.
That one did baffle me, because I'm one of the people that actually doesn't mind Megan Fox, and I think in certain movies I thought she's quite good. I really like her in Jennifer's Body.
She is like,
and I can't remember the name of the movie that I reviewed a while ago where she was like handcuffed.
The vampire thing.
Dead husband.
She was a vampire in that.
Movie for 5 minutes. Yeah, that was
the last time I saw her.
She was terrible in that.
She was terrible in it, yes.
But the one where she was handcuffed to her dead husband,
you said that was quite good. I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, her performance in that I thought was actually quite good. She was alright in that.
She's
never going to win any acting fucking awards.
Not for this movie. I
wouldn't say she's an action star either.
That's the thing.
Transformers and stuff.
There are. Oh my god! Why didn't you have? I mean, all right. So the idea here, which obviously probably wouldn't have worked if you'd got Linda Hamilton or someone, is that she's dating Jason Statham. So I guess they needed someone around his age.
What, is she a spy or something?
Sorry?
Is she a spy or something?
She's an expendable, man. Don't question it.
Okay.
She's just an expendable now. She's been around forever. They've just never mentioned her until this film.
Right.
So all of them are gone. Jet Li's gone. Dolph Lundgren and Randy Couture are still around. That's it.
Yeah.
And Stallone.
Iko Uwais and Tony Jaa's in it as well, aren't they?
I always feel bad for Tony Jaa. Do you remember when he was the next big thing, man?
For 5 minutes, he was
like Ong Bak and all of those movies. It was like, oh, this guy is it. And it just didn't work for him. I always felt bad for him because I think he is a tremendous martial artist.
I'm sure he's still big in his own
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
But, and I think Uwais is also in danger of becoming that I think.
Yeah.
And I think he's a better actor, so he's
agreed.
He's got that going
So
for him.
all of the big stars are gone. So I don't know where this money has gone. Someone is been taking money and putting it somewhere. I don't know.
It's being laundered.
It's being laundered somewhere because of Expendables 4. Yeah. Oh, and 50 Cent. Yeah, so 50 Cent's in this movie, and he is
okay.
He's fine. He shoots guns, and at one point, I don't know 50 Cent's music, so I'm like 95% sure, based on my knowledge of knowing nothing about music, that in this film, the character that 50 Cent plays the music of 50 Cent as a distraction to distract people. But he's not 50 Cent, but he plays the music of 50 Cent. Just 50 Cent playing a character that's playing the music of 50 Cent in a scene. Right. I'm pretty sure it's 50 Cent's song. I could be wrong, though. I don't feel confident enough to know. It's definitely a song I've heard in the gym before, you know. That's about it. But I'm pretty sure it is 50 Cent. So anyway, this movie opens and it's very cheap.
You're winning me over, man.
Oh man. So there's a mission. There's a mission to do a thing. I've already forgotten what it was. Blow up something. I don't know. Oh no, that's right. There's this thing going on the other side of the planet, and there's this hostage situation. And so Barney, Sylvester Stallone, he turns up to Jason Statham's house, and Jason Statham's having an argument with his girlfriend, Megan Fox, who we've never met before, but she's also an expendable, and they get the team together and they fly over in this piece of shit plane. The hostage situation is still going on, and they arrive on like the other side of the planet, and they're there now. And I don't know how long these hostages have been there or whatever, but anyway, they've got this mission to do, and they're gonna stop this thing from happening. And tragically, Sir not appearing in this film, Sylvester Stallone, as I said when I think I did a trailer reaction, which is probably when we talked about this, I said Sylvester Stallone will be in this film for like 10 minutes because you can tell all of the scenes in the trailer was from the same scene, right? With him in. And sure enough, Sylvester Stallone I'm going to spoil this movie, by the way.
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters either, because you know where this is going from the first 10 minutes of the film. Sylvester Stallone burns to death in a plane crash, and everyone blames Jason Statham, even though he's the second in command and the original second in command, and he's been friends with Barney through all the movies. And the only reason, so basically he failed the objective because he was trying to save Barney, who died. And they're like, you asshole, you should have completed the mission. Fuck Barney, I guess. Fuck our boss. You should have done the mission. But he failed to do that. So they kick him out of the Expendables. And then Randy Couture, because he's been around the longest, becomes the next in command. No. Dolph Lundgren, because he's... No. Megan Fox becomes the new leader of the Expendables. Megan Fox is now outranks everyone. She is now the new leader of the Expendables, and they kick Jason Statham out of the Expendables. Okay. So the Expendables is now Megan Fox.
One thing I've got to ask, because I do not remember.
Yeah.
Wasn't Dolph Lundgren a villain in the first one?
Yeah, he got better. They shot him with a bullet and it made him normal again. I don't know. Yeah, okay. At the end of that movie, so he's a villain. He's like a psychopathic villain.
Yeah, he's basically playing the character from Universal Soldier.
Yes, right. But at the end of the Expendables, he gets shot, and then he's fine. And that's it. He's the bullet cures him of his insanity. It's like an anti-insanity bullet. I don't know.
Anti-dickhead bullet.
Yeah, anti-dickhead bullet. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna make out like the previous entries in this series were Shakespeare or anything. Like this is like, and like I said, best case scenario, this was always gonna be crap.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now Megan Fox is in charge of the Expendables, and Jason Statham has to go and be security for a social media influencer.
Right.
That's what he does. But anyway, he.
Are there no up and coming female wrestlers.
Well, Ronda Rousey was in the last one.
I've not been into wrestling for years, but I'm sure there were at least some semi-decent female wrestlers that could have.
Ronda Rousey was in the last one. I mean,
exactly.
She can't really act, but neither can anyone else in these movies. Like, at least I could believe her beating someone up. I'm like, yes, she can kick the shit out of people.
I mean, I guess people are still finding Gina Carano questionable at the moment.
I refuse to believe that Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey are the only options, though. There are definitely more.
Gina Carano can actually fucking act.
Fight.
I mean, not great. She's not brilliant. But she can act. She can fucking emote.
But also, it's the Expendables. None of them can really act, and the ones that can are pretending not to not embarrass the rest. So it doesn't matter, does it? It's fine, you know.
No.
Or like I said, I mean, obviously it wouldn't work, but like someone like Linda Hamilton, you're like, okay, yeah, she was like badass, and you know, she's still in shape. And...
She's an older badass woman.
Exactly, I would get someone like that, or even like
Sigourney Weaver or somebody like that would.
Jamie Lee Curtis, I'd buy.
Exactly,
you know?
Something that would make sense. Sort of...
And then, of course, you couldn't do the sexy time fight.
Okay, yeah, there is that, I guess.
But fine, I can live without that. To be honest, at this point, not to sound like
I'm sure Jamie Lee Curtis would be up for it.
Not to sound like too much of an asshole. Megan Fox is 2 years younger than me, and she is one surgery away from fucking Cher right now. She looks. I don't know what she needs to stop with the surgery.
Yeah, I have seen.
She is young, and she is. I actually feel really awful about. I don't know if it's like Hollywood pressure, but it is scary how young she is and how much work she's clearly done.
To look a bit plasticky.
She looks like she's struggling to even emote in this film, you know, in places, and it's like, God, that's not a good thing, right? At your age, that's terrible. But anyway, she's in charge of the Expendables now, and of course Jason Statham tracks him down, and there's a big fight on a boat, and that's the end of the film, really. The plot is terrible. You expect that anyway. Everything's predictable. The action is awful. It is absolutely. It feels like the Asylum made an Expendables movie, but somehow got the cast or some of the cast to turn up.
See, that's fucking inexcusable.
It's awful.
That's the part that if you can't get the action right in an Expendables movie, then you are really doing something fucking wrong.
100%. And you get the impression, as I felt for a while now, actually, Statham feels like he just can't really be arsed. And I've said that the last couple of movies of Statham's, and I really wonder whether he's just reaching that age where he's like, I can't do this much longer. I'm just going to do as many as I can and then ride off into the sunset.
Has he got to the Bruce Willis stage?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not, or whether he's just wanting to do more acting roles and he's just getting cast in Expendables 4. I don't know. Yeah. But he seems fed up. Sylvester Stallone is honestly in this movie for like 10 minutes. I don't think it's a surprise.
Like Mr. Contractualized.
Yes, contractual obligation. I'm here. He comes back at the end, which is a surprise to no one. If you've watched the scene, it's like he's obviously alive. But basically, my theory is they must have written a movie without him, and then they got him for like 10 minutes, and they were like, fine, just shove him in the start and the end, because it kind of feels like this whole movie would have been just as fine without his name on it, without him in it. Yeah. Because he achieves nothing, really. He's gone for the movie. It would have
worked better if it wasn't like an Expendables movie.
No, it's a bad film. It's a terrible film.
If they have said it up front, this is Jason Statham's character's movie. You know, like Hobbs and Shaw or whatever it is they did.
Yeah, sure. I would still... It's a shit film.
Of course, but then it wouldn't be specifically a Expendables movie. It would have been
so it would have been
project, you know?
It would have been a side thing. I still think that Jason Statham would have deserved more of a budget and better execution than this terrible thing that they've done here.
That's the set, Matt. I'm looking forward to The Beekeeper. So I mean, it looks awful, but I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Did we talk about Beekeeper on this podcast?
I think we did. You mentioned it, and I hadn't seen the trailer yet.
You've seen it now, though.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Jason Statham is a beekeeper for an old lady And she gets internet scammed and kills herself. I don't know why that makes me laugh. This trailer is ridiculous.
Do you know what?
But then he's not just. Not only is he a keeper of
It
bees.
is ridiculous, and it is funny.
Not only is he a keeper of bees, but he also works for a top secret clandestine organization called the Beekeepers. So he's a beekeeper and also a beekeeper.
Yeah, it's like they watched the Kingsmen and went, "Hey,
yeah,
what if we did the Kingsmen, but they were beekeepers?"
It looks absolutely terrible, and I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. It just looks brilliantly terrible. This, however, is just awful. This is just awful. It's not even like funny bad.
There was no way I was going to watch this anyway.
No, I know. I don't think most people will, but it's a terrible film. It's a terrible Expendables movie, and that wasn't a particularly high bar to begin with. And yes, I cannot believe how bad some of this green screen and some of these effects are in this film. I mean, you could at least actually blow stuff up for 100 million, right? Yeah, I just feel like,
wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know. How far do we allow the excuse of maybe it was the pandemic to be a thing? Because it's 2023 now, and I'm sure this was probably filmed last year.
I was going to say, we're past that now, aren't we?
I feel like we are, but I keep seeing things of a certain quality that makes me think, oh, maybe.
Unless it was like that last movie I reviewed where it was shelved for a bit.
Yeah, they didn't shelve this. They shot this out as fast as possible. Oh, it is terrible. Anyway, Expendables 4, I don't recommend it.
No.
I do recommend House of Usher, though. I think, despite my misgivings and despite the bits I didn't really think gelled for me, good series, worth your time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is it. I saved the best till last.
Clearly.
Awful film.
Hey, dude, I had a wonderful time discussing it.
Yes, it's been fun. It's been therapeutic discussing Expendables 4.
I particularly liked the David Beckham thing. That was hilarious.
I don't know if I'm going to get shit for that or not. I don't know anything about football, but I'm sure that David Beckham is old now.
Is he
he must be, right? To be playing football?
He's retired, is he? Honestly, I don't fucking know either.
But he's got to be. I mean, I remember him in the 90s.
Yeah.
So he's over the hill. The point still stands. That's what I'm getting at. For a football player, he's definitely over the hill.
It's like people talking about nuts shit they know nothing of. But I seem to remember David Seaman being a footballer for fucking a really long time.
Yeah.
And I know he retired late. So was he one of those? I honestly don't know.
Is David Beckham retired? He's a former professional footballer, yes.
There we go, so he's retired then.
Oh, he's the president and co-owner of Inter Miami and co-owner of Salford City. I'm guessing those are football teams. He doesn't own a city called Salford, I'm assuming.
He owns
Salford.
He's probably got enough money to own Salford.
He probably does. I imagine he is very wealthy.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
We should mention Richard Roundtree.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
As we record this.
Wonderful actor.
Fantastic actor.
Original Shaft.
Yeah. I mean, really kicked off the whole blaxploitation genre, really, or at least popularized it, I guess.
Yeah, he was totally the. I mean, Shaft was completely the poster boy for the whole
100%. And a brilliant movie. If you've never watched Shaft, you should totally watch Shaft.
I still haven't seen the modern.
Oh, it's not bad, the new one.
It's cool, but
it's way better than it has any right to be.
No, well, fair enough.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I mean, he was in Roots and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether you're old enough when Roots come out. I mean,
I was probably too young, but I have watched Roots.
It was one of those. It was proper, event TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think it still holds up.
Everybody was fucking watching that.
Yeah.
When that came out, and he was great in it. He was a tremendous actor. So he will be missed.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad he was in that last Shaft movie. You know.
Yeah.
If they're gonna stop, that's a good place to stop. So yeah. Next. Yeah, so November 1st is obviously minus Godzilla -1 in Japan. December 1st in the US, and as of yesterday, confirmed 15th of December we are getting a UK release, cinema release.
Okay.
Of Godzilla -1, so that's good news because I really do want to see that in the cinema if I can.
I agree. I would like to see that in the cinema too.
So we can arrange it.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. Yeah. Not content with Disney making a clearly shit Snow White movie.
Yes.
The Daily Wire.
Oh God, yeah.
Have decided to make their own shit Snow White movie, starring a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Sure.
Weird, isn't it?
It looks as bad for different reasons.
Yeah, I don't know this the YouTuber.
Well, she's a political commentator. I think she used to be I think she might have been an actress before.
Right.
But it's a really weird thing. It's like if you're trying to be taken seriously as a production studio, maybe cast someone that's not part of your network already. You know.
I thought that was a bit weird too.
And
but
also,
I did like what she said. At least she was saying things better than bloody.
What has she said?
Oh, she was saying that she was brought up with Snow White. She loves it. She thinks it's a classical movie for all times, not just 1935. it's and she was saying. I mean, clearly she was supposed to say all the right things because fucking.
Well, that is called good marketing.
Exactly. I mean, I can't say I'm going to watch.
I'm not going to watch either. No, of course I'm not going to watch either.
It is humorous and it is amusing.
It's funny, but it's weird that I thought it looked like an SNL sketch to me. As I saw the trailer, because it's like a bunch of stock footage and then her, and it's like, oh my god.
It kind of feels like they just cobbled it together just to put it out there.
But I think they're serious though, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they're serious.
Because if they did it for a laugh, that would actually be quite funny. But I think they're actually going to do this.
As long as they make just the Cinderella movie and not make that
Snow White.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Politically,
Oh god, yeah. I mean, I don't know if
that.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't think we need. Oh god, the politics of a Snow White movie. Just why are we? Why this is what we've come to now. Why is it even political? They both look terrible films.
Yeah.
Have we actually had a trailer for Disney Snow White yet? I guess not.
I don't remember.
We should wait until we've seen the trailer for the Disney one, and then we'll compare the two.
Dude,
that could be a fun thing to do. I've seen pictures. Yeah.
Everything they've talked about and the stuff that she said in interviews is like, oh fuck off.
Didn't Peter Dinklage also?
Well, Peter Dinklage is an idiot.
Ruin roles for
yeah
forever. No, I've made my money now. No one else
Peter
can.
Dinklage appointed himself leader of all diminutive actors.
Yeah,
and has spoken for all of them.
Yeah, they
said
funny enough
be in parts for dwarves or.
Funny enough, it turns out that most of them don't think that he speaks for them. Funny enough. Funny that.
Enough, no.
Yeah.
A lot of really pissed off people that are upset that he's spoken for them.
Yeah.
And have seen for some reason that he's like their leader or something.
Well, I guess they could work for Bent Key now.
What's Bent Key? Oh, is that the name?
That's what they Daily Wire have called their children's network, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it was funny. I will not lie. It made me laugh.
Know she was what's her name? It's not Maddie Ziegler, is it? It's
Rachel.
She was
in West Side Story as well, right?
Yes, which apparently is fucking awful too. Yeah, I saw the trailer.
I haven't seen it. Now, that's the thing with her.
I don't get why they even bothered with that. What was wrong with Spielberg? What possessed him to think you could do better than West Side Story already was?
It was an odd move for Spielberg at that point in his career.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's kind of like, do something original, Spielberg. That's what you were best at. Do that.
I mean, she's going to be in that Song of Songbird and Snakes, which is the.
I will be honest.
Fucking awful.
Well, I'll be honest. You know, I'll be fair to Rachel Zegler. I haven't seen her act in anything, so she might be great. I honestly don't know. I've seen what she's said, and she seems insufferable.
Yes.
But then I also have a little sympathy where I'm like, she's quite young, and she's just being told stuff and then just repeating stuff, and just, I don't know.
My sympathy for that only goes so far.
I know, but she is a kid, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I haven't seen her act. She might be great.
I know she was going to be in the third Paddington movie, but they've heave-hoed her on that one. I think they've got to the. I think we've got to the point where people are like, "Ooh, maybe we don't want that."
Well, I think the strikes have given them excuse to pretty much get rid of anyone they don't want now, because they've got that like what do you call it, like act of God clause, where it's like, well, if
force majeure.
Yes, yeah. So it's like, well, if you know, if this happens, then we can just cancel something.
It does make you wonder how many movies and series got shit canned. that you know.
Well, Daredevil didn't Daredevil get?
Oh,
they ditched it.
They had 8 episodes of that already filmed.
I don't know how incompetent you have to be as a studio to get 8 episodes in, and then need a year-long strike before you notice that you've produced absolute crap.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I know Batgirl happened, and I guess that arguably would be a similar situation where you made a whole film, then looked at it and went, wow, this is unreleasably bad.
They probably should have done it with Aquaman and Flash, really.
Yeah, I mean, Flash was bad.
The reason to watch Flash was for Keaton and the Batman stuff.
It was a bad film. I reviewed that one too. I'm not doing too good this year. I mean, I am going into these knowing full well that they're probably going to be bad.
There's been some fucking awful shit released this year, but you know there always is. It's just that this year was.
There's been some great stuff this year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even. I don't think I'm even going to bother with the Aquaman 2. Are you?
No. I only did the Flash because someone gave me a copy of the Flash, and I wanted to see Keaton's Batman. That's the only reason I watched it. I'm not going to watch Aquaman. I don't watch.
No desire to watch Aquaman 2.
I don't watch any of these superhero things anymore, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
But
I did see a few Vaughn's rebooting Kick-Ass.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know whether it's going to be like a full-on reboot or whether it's going to be, I think, based on later Kick-Ass stories. I don't know. It sounded a bit weird when I heard about it. I was like, oh, okay, that seems a bit weird. And I know that I think they are working on the next Kingsman. So,
well, I enjoyed the last one they did.
I like the Kingsman.
The Kingsman, yeah, I thought that was really good. I enjoyed it.
Number 2.
Yeah, I'm all for more of that if they can pull it off. Yeah. So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think that's.
And what are we reviewing next time? I think we came to a consensus.
Yeah, we came to a consensus. And next week we will be, for our final Halloween movie, we will be discussing Demons.
Demons. We're going to end with some fun. Some cheesy nonsense fun.
Some
Italian, classic Italian horror. I love Demons. I'm really excited to review that one. So yes, thank you for listening, everybody. And we will catch you next time for Demons.
Bye.
Bye-bye.